Welcome to The System Works, the lifestyle channel that shows you who you are, what you truly want, and how to get it. The System Works. Own it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of The System Works. I am your host, Ernest Phillips, and today's a tough topic. Today is a topic that a lot of people deal with, and if this solution applies to you, then I'm glad that you're watching, because this will change absolutely your life. It will change whatever relationship you are in, whether it's your friends, your family, it doesn't matter with who. But if you are one of those people that you just don't feel loved, there is a reason, and this reason might be it. And you have ownership of this, and you can change it. And you don't need them to do anything different. You don't need to ask them to do anything different. This is 100% in your control to change this. That's the good news. Here's the other side of this. If you have 100% ownership and control, then that means it's something that you are doing. And what you're doing is this. And I'll just start with the tug tip. You can only feel as loved for however much you reveal. What that means is, if you have shown your true self to someone, you have been transparent, you have allowed them to see the good, the bad, the ugly, the quirky, the irresponsible, the over the responsible, the OCD, the ADHD, the bipolar, the lazy, the A personality, B personality. If you have allowed them to see everything, and they still love you, you're in a good spot. Here's where most of us have been. And I say most, if not everybody at some point in their lives. We only show part of ourselves. We only show the good part. We show the part that we think the other person is going to like, that matches the other person. We hide the rest. We don't show them our dark stuff. We don't show them our real stuff. And when I say dark stuff, I don't just mean negative. I mean the deep stuff. Because the deeper you go, the darker it is. That's the dark stuff. That's the deep stuff. Until you're willing to show all of that, you're not going to be able to feel fully loved for who you are. In most cases, if you've pulled this off without that, good for you. I'm glad that you are being loved and you see it and you value it and you feel it. But you can be loved and not feel it. And there's a whole series that we are going to be doing about the difference between being and feeling. Your significant other can be loving you purely and you not feel it. You can feel love and the other person's not actually being loving. They're two different things. But for this episode, whatever you're hiding, whatever you're not sharing, until you do, you don't know for sure if that person is still going to love you. And that right there is the number one reason why we won't, why we don't, why we hide, why we placate, why we appease, people please. We do all these other things because we don't want the other person to reject us. We don't want the other person to stop loving us. Because if they knew the real me, if they knew the real thoughts that I had, if they knew everything about me, that would be just too much. I see this a lot with individuals who have dealt with addiction. One of the key steps that they have is they need to apologize and take that full ownership and say all the stuff that they really did. And it's brutal. It is a brutal process to watch someone say the horrible things they did and then ask for forgiveness. Now, the ones who do the process and that other person leaves, that happens. I mean, it'd be great to say, oh, every time you do this, it's going to work out. But that's not the case, and that's why the risk is so big, and that is why most people don't do it. But the people who do, those are the ones that are more likely to never go back, to kick that habit, to overcome their addictions, because they have come clean. They have gotten all of that stuff out. All the dark has now come into the light, and now the light shines on it, and then we get to see it for whatever it is. The number of times that I have watched the other person be hurt, and I mean tears, and say, I'm going to need a minute. But they don't walk away from that person, and they still love that person, and they work on being forgiving to that person. That happens a lot. And I've seen that happen more times than the other person just says, deuces, I'm out. Can't do it. You went too far. You did one thing too many. If you are in a relationship right now with anyone, a friend, a parent, a child, and you are holding on to something that you know is a big part, and it's a big thing. They say confession is good for the soul. This is that process. The confession, it is the transparency that you are now giving yourself, and you are owning the fact that, yes, I did this. I acted outside of my values. I acted outside of my character, my integrity, and what I did was selfish and mean or evil or whatever it is. Own it. And then say, and all I can do is say, I am sorry. I will not do this again. And I hope one day you can forgive me. There was a guy that I know, and I'm still friends with him. And I had done something that just absolutely was against my personal, professional, my professional, my relational, my spiritual brand, went against everything. And for, I think it was about 7 years, I held on to this thing. And when I would see him out and we would network, I would avoid him. And he could have been such a huge asset for me in my growth professionally, and I would avoid him. He wrote a book before I did, and I was jealous instead of being happy for him. Not because I was jealous, because that was the reaction that I had emotionally, because I was still holding on to the embarrassment of something that I had done years before. And we finally had a chance to sit down, and I said, I got to tell you, I did this back when, and I gave him the details, and I apologized. And he looked at me and he said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I explained it again. He goes, no, I never even noticed that. No. I'd been carrying that thing for years. And now, because that was out in the open, I was so open to now being able to work with him. And now he's one of the people that I go to when I have a new idea business-wise. When we were putting together the whole thing of the YouTube channel and how to release the coaching and give new opportunities. And I could bounce things off of him. And he meets, and he's a very busy individual. And now we're good, and we are closer, and now we're better friends. None of that was going to be possible because I was holding on to something. Transparency is a strength, not a weakness. Does it also bring in vulnerability? Sure does. But transparency is strength. Here's another thing that I got to tell you, though. There is a very good chance that whatever it is that's inside you that you've been holding on to, that you haven't told that other individual, if it is one of the things that is just one thing too many, there's a good chance that you're going to do something anyway, and that will be it, and you'll be like, whoa, wait, you're rejecting me over that? Imagine if I had told you. See, that's why I shouldn't have told you. Yeah, you can play the games, the rationalization game. I'm really good at it. But I was still going to tell you. If you want to feel loved for who you are, if you want to be loved for who you are, the requirement is you need to show who you are. The whole of you. The all of you. Because then the people who love you, you will know it. You will have a great chance of knowing it and feeling it. If you don't, after that, there's some other issues going on. We can work on that on another episode, but I guarantee you this. You're putting yourself into the best possible position to genuinely be loved. If you're one of those people out there that says, I wish someone would love me for me, my first question is going to be, are you showing your true self, your whole self? Because if you're trying to just show the parts that you think they are going to love, even if they do, you're not going to feel it. You're going to have the doubt. Whatever part you're not showing, that's going to be the doubt. Because if they know that one piece, I've watched this, I've done this, I've had to be on the end where I'm the one confessing. I've been on the end where someone confessed to me. And I'm going to tell you, it's one of the most relieving and mind-blowing moments when you are doing the confession. The last major one that I did, I could have lost everything. And instead, I was able to gain everything, starting with I could look in the mirror again for the first time in a long time and see the truth of myself. I'm telling you, it's hard stuff. It's hard for me. It's hard for anyone. But if you try to do this, go for it. The Wi-Fi, the what's in it for you, cleanse that. Get that dark stuff out. Go deep into yourself. Be able to look yourself in the mirror, and at least you get to know who you are. And then at bare